I think the people that are drawn to making these movies are a very particular brand of crazy, and I feel a deep kinship with anybody who's made a Mad Max film, cast, crew alike, because it feels like we're forged in the same fire. The Queen's Gambit. I remember the first ever day of filming, we were shooting, I think it was the Mexico City tournament, and they had given me like this huge Bible of every single play that we were going to do throughout the filming. And day one, they came in and they changed something, and I was like, okay, no. This is how this is going to go. You're going to show up, you're going to show me the moves like immediately beforehand, and I'm going to store it in my short-term memory, and then that's going to go, and the next one's going to come in. And thank God we did it that way, because yeah, I think all in all, we had up to like 200 individual games, and they're all based off of historic plays. I was very lucky to have a dance background, and I do think as a kid, ballet specifically was really helpful in terms of discipline and understanding choreography. Ballet has played a huge part in the way that I act, because it's finger choreography. That's what you're doing.
He was careful. I had to retreat, but he kept coming. I wanted to scream.
The entirety of Queen's Gambit was an absolute dream, because from the moment I read that book, it was a gift. I knew how to tell this story. I knew who this person was very intimately. Our director, Scott, and then all of the different department heads really understood just how close Beth and I were, and so they realized very quickly that I needed to be a part of every decision-making process. And so Gabrielle Binder and I spent hours doing fittings, and it was incredible, because the beauty of clothes for a character is you put something on me and immediately with my body you can tell, like, nope, that's not it. Like, we have to get rid of it. And so it was just a lot of hours of fittings. I have a very personal connection to a lot of the clothes, and I actually have a lot of the clothes. Gabrielle very sweetly gifted them to me. I have a strong feeling towards the final outfit that she wears, just because it felt like such an emotional slog for her to get there, to get to a place. I'm talking about the White Queen outfit, the hat, and the cinched jacket. She'd had such a rough time getting to that spot, and so on the day that we shot that, I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to be Beth, liberated from all of this shame and pain and deep anger that she has. The history of Queen's Gambit, the novel, is that it was a book that artists used to give each other. So this is a book that, it was quite underground, but it was about so much more than chess. It was about the price of genius, really, and how lonely it can be. And I remember thinking the most important parts of playing Beth were her by herself, because that's the side of yourself that you don't really show other people, and this deep loneliness and longing. And I hoped that in showing those moments, other people would feel less alone. Furiosa.
As a child, my world was forever changed. My mother was magnificent. And he took it all from me.
George called me, and we had a really beautiful conversation for about 2 hours. We just really got on. And he said, listen, I'm going to send you the monologue from the film, The Network. And if you are comfortable, put yourself on tape and we'll see. And so I did that. He gave me a call, gave me a note, did it again. And then we were just making this film. Working with Chris Hemsworth was a dream. We get along so well, but it was interesting because Furiosa is a highly isolated character, and that kind of mirrored the experience that I had on set, because so much of this film was just you know, her and I on our own trying to make it through this world. So when Chris and I did have the opportunity to be together, it was always like, okay, you're here. Great, let's do this.
Protect the green place.
It's time to take what's rightfully ours. Ready? Steady?
Training for this movie was wild. It was more training than I've ever done for anything. We started off with motorbikes and cars because I still don't have my license. So the first thing I learned how to do in a car was a juicy lift 180, which is pretty cool. Like, it's kind of what it says on the box. You juice, emergency brake, and then 180, which just means like elbow straight into your ribs. And it was great learning both the motorbikes and the cars at the same time, because anything you do in a bike feels so much safer in a car. It just becomes your comfort zone. So yeah, we started with that, and then just physically training to be able to do the stunts over and over and over again. George does a lot of takes. So I felt really strong going into the movie, but much stronger by the end of it. I trained with a really wonderful personal trainer called Madness Lidback, who I had met on Glass, actually. He had worked with James McAvoy to create The Beast. And then I saw him again on The Northman, and he was helping Alex Skarsgård. So I just thought, right, yeah, James McAvoy, Alex Skarsgård, me. Let's do this. I didn't talk to Charlize before filming the movie because I felt like I had to go on my own journey with it. But the second that I was done, I was like, hey, we should get together and swap war stories because it's such a specific experience. I think the people that are drawn to making these movies are a very particular brand of crazy. And I feel a deep kinship with anybody who's made a Mad Max film, cast, crew alike, because it feels like we're forged in the same fire. Split.
You could show us the way out. We could be gone before anybody gets back, but we have to hurry, Hedwig. We have to hurry and get out of here.
Originally, it was supposed to be somebody who's like well known to be a method actor, and I remember, obviously, I was so excited I got the job, but then I was like, what's this gonna be like to like live in with somebody that's trying to eat me for 4 months? Cool. So I was so grateful that it was James, and he's so talented. And again, like, we just supported each other through that, because it's a really strange state to be in consistently. And I find that the darker, at least for me, the darker the subject matter of a film, the more love and support you need to have off camera, because that's what allows you to get there. So we laughed a lot on that job. James and I would prank each other pretty consistently, and he once made me like stuffed clothes out of Cheetos and left it in my green room when I came in and it was all dark, and it scared the life out of me. I've never gotten him back. Not that good. I'm working on it. James, I'm coming for you.
Who the hell is this? Hello?
Working with Knight is very intense, but again, we formed a very close friendship. I kind of realized something about myself, which was specifically when it comes to working like this. If I love you, I will give you everything. If there's any kind of environment that's super antagonistic, I shut down. Like, that's just the way that I work. And I think because of that, and I told Knight that very early on, because I knew that my character Casey was, you know, a victim of assault and abuse, and I knew that I needed to be sort of protected in that, and Knight was right there with me and so supportive. And he was actually the first, not the first because I did it with Rob, but like that felt more gleeful. I would sit behind Knight and watch any scene that I wasn't a part of because I just wanted to learn. Like, I'm so interested in filmmaking, and every department fascinates me. And so anytime that I wasn't in front of the camera, it like set the precedent of, now I'm with sound, now I'm with props, now I'm over here, now I'm with stunts. And yeah, I love that 360-degree approach to what I do. The Witch. from a very young age, I always told my mom, like, I'm just going to be in the right place at the right time and it's going to happen. Like, I know that there's this world where I make more sense and where I have something to offer, and I'm just going to, somehow this is going to work. And I was walking my dog wearing heels for the first time because I was practicing for a party when I was 16, and a car started chasing me, essentially, and I picked up my dog and I ran, and then this guy stuck his head out the window and said, if you stop, you won't regret it, which is crazy and like so horror movie-esque, and like, don't think I'd do it again. But it worked out this time around, and he was the head of a modeling agency, and I went in with my parents the next day, did like 3 jobs, and then met a wonderful actor named Alan Leach, who put me in touch with my agent now, and she's been my agent for like over 10 years.
I confess I've lived in sin. I've been idle of my work, disobedient to my parents, neglectful of my prayer.
I never thought that I was going to get that job because Thomasin was written in the script as plain, and I can be a lot of things, but I was like, I'm super weird looking. Like, there's no world in which I'm going to fit into this. But it really struck me, and it gave me a feeling that I think from then on I've always looked for when I'm reading a script, which I just felt very unnerved, but also drawn towards this thing that I couldn't quite understand. And I remember reading it, and instantly my posture changed and my voice changed, and I was like, oh, okay, something's happening here.
Jonas!
Father said stop it.
Thomasin!
Stop.
Stop it! Each of you, stop it! Thomasin, take the twins inside.
Not only was the script incredible, but I feel like so many things that I didn't understand, I got to learn firsthand off of incredible actors like Kate Dickie and Ralph Ineson, and they showed me what it was to be the kind of actor that, you know, I hope I am now, but also that I respect, which is, you are a creative making this movie. Your body, like, you don't just stop at actor. You are a creative on set. And that meant that because we had no money, we were, you know, I was laying down dolly track. I was staying overtime. I was, you know, just a part of everything. And being able to learn in that way was invaluable.
Use Lucifer. You know it. The twins know it too.
Slander thy brethren no more.
It is they.
From my sight.
'Twas they and that goat what bewitched the soul farm.
Lies.
Was the wolf still Sam? I never saw no wolf.
I remember having a really important conversation with Rob where there's a moment where Thomasin's been accused of, you know, doing everything, and she like tries to tell her parents that it's actually the twins and that they're making this, you know, covenant with the devil. And Rob had written that I was hysterically crying, and I just couldn't get there, which was weird for me because tears come, you know, relatively easily. And I just looked at Rob and I was like, she's angry. Like, we have to stop pushing this narrative that we just cry all the time. Like, she's so angry right now. And having that conversation with him and kind of sticking up for my character in a way really set a precedent for me. And I loved it when the film came out. Rob came up to me and he was like, you were right. I was like, yes, good. The Northman.
I am Olga of the Birch Forest, and I too vow to escape the silent.
Then you must face many foes.
As do you. Would you face them alone?
Olga was interesting to me because I remember when I spoke to Rob, he was like, she's the lady of the lake. And I realized that no one ever looks at life from the perspective of the lady of the lake. Like, their job is just to be ethereal and help in any way. And I was like, okay, so like, how do I connect that and make it human? And I think, funnily enough, that answer came out of actually making this film, because making this film was so physically difficult, and it coming straight off the back of COVID, I was just the enthusiastic, cold cheerleader of everyone. Like, I just showed up every day and I was like, this is amazing. We get to make films. We're all together. This is incredible. Yes, it's freezing. Yes, the mud has turned to ice and we are barefoot, but fuck it, this is great. And I think having that sort of attitude and taking care of everybody on set, because I'm, you know, part of a group of people that have been sold to this chieftain. And so I really felt like it was my responsibility to take care of everybody that was with me. And I think that really informed Olga, where I was like, oh, okay, she has this big heart and she's able to give more. And that's what allows Alex's character to kind of go further. I don't know why I have a facility for speaking non-languages and making them sound like they are. It was cool though, because it is based on Old Slavic. But if you were to ask me to go further into that, like, I don't really know what that means. So like, yeah, I'm glad it worked. It felt really badass because it was the reunion between myself and Ralph Ineson on screen. And it felt really weirdly full circle for the witchy woman, for Thomasin, because her father never got to see her witch out. And then I'm on this boat with Ralph Ineson, like, witching out heavily. And I remember his eyes going, whoop, and I was like, yes, okay, great. So it weirdly healed a Thomasin wound for me as well. Emma?
These are not trivial recommendations, Mr. Knightley. Till men do fall in love with well-informed minds instead of handsome faces, a girl with such loveliness as Harriet has a certainty of being admired and sought after wherever she goes. I am very much mistaken if your sex in general would not find these qualities the highest claims a woman could possess.
Upon my word, Emma.
Jane Austen had said that Emma herself was a character that she thought nobody would like other than her. She had written an unlikable heroine, and when Austen de Wilde and I got together, I said, I really want to play this. I want this to be an interesting relationship that the audience has with Emma, because the thing is, it's painful to watch her oftentimes because she's just so sheltered and so young, and she's not a bad person, but she has this arrogance that's bred out of a life without difficulty and a life that's been highly sheltered. It took me a while to watch myself as Emma because I had such a wonderful experience playing her. We were all such like a merry band of folks, and it was like we went off to summer camp together. But she hurt me to watch because I was like, oh, this is so awkward and so painful, and you just have no idea that you're hurting people in this way.
It's entirely unnecessary. Poor Miss Taylor. Poor Isabella.
My sister married 7 years ago, Papa. You must be reconciled to it by now.
That was a terrible day.
As a kid, I remember seeing Bill on screen and thinking, I'm going to be friends with that man one day. Like, I feel it. And he and I have such a beautiful relationship. He's my movie dad, and he kills you. Like, he's so funny. But everybody really was. And I also felt like I got my start in horror movies, and I know the genre very, very well. And this was my first comedy, and I got to learn from titans. Like, everywhere I looked, somebody was being brilliant in some way. And I hope that, like, I kind of got some of it by osmosis.
Emma.
Oh.
Emma.
No.
Emma.
Oh. No. I cannot.
Why not?
Did you really get a nosebleed on cue?
Yeah. And it was so crazy. I remember I only first noticed because I saw it in Johnny Flynn's eyes. I saw his, like, he was in character, and then I just saw his face go like, oh, no, like, what's wrong? And it was funny because as soon as it started happening, everybody very kindly was trying to take care of me. And I was like, are you kidding? Roll! This is amazing! Like, I don't know how this happened, but yeah, real blood. Let's keep that in there. It was in the script, yeah. So both Autumn and I think I much more when I was a kid, I had terrible nosebleeds as a kid, and Awesome also had it. So I think she wanted it in there just to break up the beauty of, you know, the chestnut tree and this and that and whatever. And then it happened for real.